Vitamin D has a half-life of 9 months, so you can bank it. If you spend a huge amount of time in the sun in summer, you don't need to take vitamin D in winter. I mean, we've adapted to that, and you can get vitamin D from the food as well. But at the end of the day, it's a risk to reward ratio that we kind of have to make the assessment for. I think there's an amazing synergy between CBD and TRT, and I think that CBD should be something on everyone's radar. I think it could be something that's in a lot of people's medicine cabinets, either for daily use or occasional use.
Have you seen a lot of supplements that are just like a little bit more over the counter? Have you seen supplements or anything like that be able to really help some people when you see that they have just poor poor health markers in general from their blood?
Yeah, so there's a few that work well. Most of them are bullshit. But
what are the ones that are bullshit that you think?
Okay.
They're the popular ones that people, yeah.
The big one that I think is bullshit that people need to go onto a website called examine.com and read this for themselves, because it's not a long article, it's in layman terms, is Fedosia agrestis.
Bro, go ahead.
So Fedosia agrestis is a Nigerian shrub. It's not really a botanical medicine, it's a shrub. And it's something that if you take it, it will cause your testicles to swell up. They have a cytotoxic response. And as part of this cytotoxic response, it would be like if I punch you in the shoulder and say, I just gave you an endorphin release, or I just gave you some natural opioid production. You owe me for that. So what it's doing is it's basically causing toxicity to the point that it's making the testicles swell up. But the danger of this is because it gave the rats testicular cancer, it will never be studied in humans. It failed animal trials. So we can't just go, oh, okay, that means that if it gave the rats cancer after like 8 weeks or 12 weeks, then just take it for 6 or 7 weeks and you'll be fine. Like that, I don't know what the laws are here about kind of promoting supplements, but I think that there's something wrong with that. So that's not a good strategy. It's a bad play. Now, if in the future it comes out and it shows that it's safe and there's nothing wrong with it, then that's great. But I don't recommend taking things that give rats cancer that haven't been studied in humans if your goal is to improve your health. Like that just seems like a bad play.
I don't know if it's because I'm Nigerian, but man, like I don't take Fedosia all the time, but I know that if I want to have a strong orgasm, Fedosia. And I don't know why it does that, but it's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you heard that from anybody else.
Well, that's the thing, and that's like people who take it go, it's not placebo. I feel something when I take this.
I know a few guys too that are just like, I want it.
Yeah.
I know some dudes, so I don't know.
I don't know if they're all Nigerian as well. Maybe that's a factor. But it's the same thing. I mean, if I have a few shots of whiskey, I'm great socially. Okay. There can be scenarios where it's like, well, something might have a benefit, but could also be a net detriment. But at the end of the day, it's a risk to reward ratio that we kind of have to make the assessment for. And I think looking at things like high quality bioavailable multivitamins, like the one that Thorne makes is a great product. Clinically dosed omega-3 fish oil is fantastic. Even just guys aren't getting enough protein. So whether that's from a good quality whey protein, I can see you've got your steak shake in the background there, essential amino acids, meat, whatever people need to do, but nourishing the body with nutrients, I think is the key. The other supplement which has become controversial recently, that's very interesting, is ashwagandha. And ashwagandha has got a huge amount of data on it, particularly from the form KSM66, which is the patented version. So ashwagandha is a root. It looks kind of like a cross between like ginger and a weird looking sweet potato, but it's a root. And in Ayurvedic medicine, which is traditional Indian medicine where it's from, they actually ferment it in milk. And they ferment it in milk to basically break down all the anti-nutrients. Kind of like if you eat a raw sweet potato, it'll destroy your stomach. Mm-hmm. All roots are full of stuff like that. So KSM66 has the most research on it. People can check it. I don't sell KSM66, I should, but you can check it out on their website. They have really good infographics where they kind of summarize the interventional human studies that they've done. And the application that I think is interesting for ashwagandha, and I'll give the caveat to it as well afterwards, because some people listening to this will be freaking out that I'm not mentioning the caveat, but the benefit to it is that because it essentially has the same mechanism of action as Valium does, it works as a natural calming agent. If you're in a situation, like I mentioned before, where that LH level is suppressed due to stress, They've done studies showing that 300 milligrams twice a day in men who have that stress suppression of LH will increase the LH levels and increase the testosterone levels. So it works directly on the root cause in that scenario, which is stress. The problem, though, is that because it's quite a strong sedative, some people think that it's to do with the serotonin actions, but the study for that is incredibly flawed. If you are not a high-stress individual and you take it, it can make you very lethargic. It can make you very zapped. It's kind of like if we all popped a Valium before the podcast this morning, it'd probably be a pretty boring conversation. So it can be something that if people don't need it, it can definitely be a problem. And that's why, I think it's important if people are just wanting to start with just general supplementation, essential nutrients, high-quality diet, sunlight are the things that people should start with. And then going beyond that, I think it should be based on blood work interpretation. The main thing to kind of answer the other question that you had is what supplements have I seen have the most impact on the blood? The two is high-dose omega-3 fish oil. So if we look at the research on fish oil, and Andrew Huberman's done some great summaries on this, the clinical dose of combined EPA DHA per day is 2 to 4 grams. So a good quality fish oil supplement has about 500 to 750 milligrams per soft gel. A cheap, crappy one might be like 200. So what we want to do is take the amount of fish oil that's the equivalent of eating about half a pound of salmon a day. That's about a good amount. Like if you like, okay, like I don't like fatty fish, but I said, okay, if I liked fatty fish, how much fatty fish would I want to eat per day to get a good amount of omegas? Yeah, about half a pound, maybe a pound if I really liked it, something like that. You're looking at about 2 to 4 grams of EPA DHA per day. Most people are taking far less of this. The effect that I see on people's triglycerides is massive. You get triglycerides right down into the gut at the very bottom of the reference range with high-dose omega-3. And that tends to correlate when you run a blood test for the omega-3 index. Getting the omega-3 index up to like a 11, 12, 13%. Most people are at like 5 or 6% if they're not supplementing. That seems to have a huge impact on the health of the heart. So that's one thing I've seen. The other one I see is that in people who do have issues with their livers, usually it's from alcohol, but it can be from being overweight, oral reduced glutathione is what I see work very well. People say that glutathione doesn't work unless you inject it. The regular version of glutathione doesn't work, but in hormone replacement therapy, when we use oral hormones, we ideally like to get them in a form where they're called micronized, which means they're so tiny that your stomach doesn't see it, your liver doesn't see it, and then it gradually absorbs in the gut. It's like a more accessible version of taking it as a rectal suppository. People aren't going to do that, but in terms of bioavailability, pop it up there, bioavailability is fantastic. So if we can have something that is reduced to a form that it gets into the gut orally, it means one, people actually take it, but two, it has much greater bioavailability. So there's a patented form of glutathione called Sertia, Sertia, and that form has been studied to have very good oral bioavailability. And that twice a day for people with chronic pain, people with liver issues, that seems to drastically improve liver panel markers as well, especially GGT, which is a marker for toxicity, as well as bringing down CRP, but most importantly, just making people actually feel better.
If you've just started TRT, it is completely normal to feel overwhelmed and confused. There's a lot of new territory to cover, and there is a lot of conflicting information. I wrote TRT 101 so that you can have everything that you need to know in an instruction manual in one place that you can refer back to, that you can have all the questions answered before they even come up. TRT 101 is my best practice approach for TRT from start to finish, and it contains everything that you need to avoid all the challenges and pitfalls that I've seen come up in my clients over the last 5 years. You can check it out via the link below.
So you being in Lithuania, by the way, I mean, vitamin D is something that's pretty important. So do you, like, for people that aren't able to get much sun, do you suggest they supplement? Do you use any type of devices? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I learned about seasonal affective disorder a few years ago when I had not my first winter, my second winter. The first winter I was like, oh, cool, it's snow. Like, I mean, I grew up in Australia. I was like, this is cool. Like, you get to light a fire and wear some warm clothes. And then the sun comes back out for a few months and then it gets dark again. And it's like, oh shit, we're doing this again?
Yeah.
And I remember asking my wife, I think it was the second year, and it was maybe like January. And I said, when does the sun come back? And she's just like, never. And
she's from there.
Yeah. Okay. That's the mentality that people have there. So growing up in Australia, you take the sun for granted. You know, anyone who grew up here in Sacramento, you take the sun for granted. When it goes away, you realize how important it is. So for people who are living somewhere sunny, go outside. Get it from the sun, because there are so many more important things you get from the sun: nutrients, circadian rhythm signaling. It feels good to get as much of it. Basically, you want to get as much sun on your body as you can, as often as possible without burning, basically. And you build up a tolerance to it. You build up melanin so you can handle more sun. But for people who live in dark countries, I do recommend supplementing with vitamin D at least throughout the winter months. Vitamin D has a half-life of 9 months, so you can bank it. If you spend a huge amount of time in the sun in summer, you don't need to take vitamin D in winter. I mean, we've adapted to that, and you can get vitamin D from the food as well. But it makes a hell of a difference if you take the vitamin D in the darkness, just in terms of how you feel. So I personally take 10,000 units a day in the dark months, and then I take 5,000 units a day in the lighter months, just to basically, you know, build it up and keep the stores active. But right now, traveling, I'm going to Australia after this, so I'm not taking vitamin D with me because I'm getting a good amount of sun. But ideally, you want to get it from the sun. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people work inside. So they go, oh, my vitamin D is low, so I'm going to take a supplement. It's like, no, you're going to go outside and get some light breaks throughout the day. But yeah, if you live in a dark country, 5 to 10,000 units of vitamin D, sometimes people need more than that, makes a hell of a difference for how you feel, as well as getting sick less. I mean, I didn't get sick once last winter. So.
CBD kind of came and went. It was like, you know, every influencer was talking about it for a long time, but you were telling me some interesting things about it. Can you share that with people? Because I think there's a lot of people that might be in pain that maybe could benefit from some of what you were sharing. Yeah,
it's been replaced by methylene blue now. So yeah, these things kind of come and go. So I've been working with CBD for a long time. I became very interested in CBD when I was younger. One, because I love smoking weed, so it was in my peripheral. But two, I had a couple of disc herniations in my back. I wasn't interested in taking large amounts of opioids all the time. So I found CBD probably, what am I now, 32? Yeah, maybe 10 years ago. So CBD is something that my clinic in Australia actually makes available for all our TRT patients. I think there's an amazing synergy between CBD and TRT. And I think that CBD should be something on everyone's radar. I think it could be something that's in a lot of people's medicine cabinets, either for daily use or occasional use. Again, I don't sell CBD, but CBD, the best way I can put it is that it's not a panacea. It's not a miracle cure. It literally doesn't cure anything. What it is, it's like a healthy glass of wine you can have at the end of the day that's good for you. That sounds pretty good. So it's not intoxicating like THC is, but it's relaxing. And what it does, it works very interestingly in the body. So the body has something called an endocannabinoid system. So we make our own cannabis-like molecules. So we actually have receptors called the CB1 and CB2 cannabinoid receptors, which is quite interesting. And what happens is your body naturally makes something called anandamide, which is like your body's natural version of CBD or THC. It's like your natural endocannabinoid, and it regulates a bunch of processes in the body. It kind of acts like a thermostat. It keeps things in balance, whether it's your mood, your core temperature, your digestion, your immune system, everything. So your body breaks this down by something called FAAH. And this then gets metabolized out of the body into something called arachidonic acid, which is like an inflammatory molecule. I think it was trendy in bodybuilding to use arachidonic acid for a bit. Yeah. So what CBD does is it comes in and it reduces the breakdown of anandamide into arachidonic acid. So what it basically does is it reduces the activity of your natural inflammatories and it increases the activity of your natural anti-inflammatory. So what it's acting as is something that you can take at the end of the day, that you take it after dinner or you take it before you have a shower, and then maybe you watch a movie in bed with some blue light blockers on or something, and then you feel your eyes get heavy, like it kind of kicks in for you. It's not something that's going to be like a chemical brick to the head that will sedate you. I mean, those things are never good for you, but it can be something that helps people fall asleep, stay asleep, feel more relaxed. It's not for everyone. Some people don't like how it makes them feel. Some people say it doesn't do anything for them, but it's great to have something at the end of the day that helps a little bit with pain. It really helps with training recovery as well, particularly if like martial arts guys, they get home, they have their CBD, they're just super relaxed because you come home after sparring and your nervous system's like, I'm on. You can't come home from sparring at 8 and fall asleep at 9 because you're jacked up. You've been in a combat situation. So it can be a very useful thing to shift into that parasympathetic state. I'm not sure what the conversion is in freedom units in pounds, but in kilograms, I like to look at about a 1/4 milligram to 1/2 milligram per kilogram of body weight. So for most guys, we're looking at decent sized guys, we're looking at anywhere from about 20 to 50 milligrams of CBD in the evening, up to 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight if needed. I find beyond that, it doesn't really do much, but it costs you twice the amount of money. So diminishing returns. A really good brand that I don't have any affiliation with, but I've used for a long time is called Endoca, ENDOCA. You can get that in Europe and the US as well, and it's completely THC free.
And you said it could be amazing for arthritis.
Yeah, so they make one called CBDA, which is a raw version of CBD. So when people see CBD oil or CBD gummies or whatever, it's implied that it's been what's called decarboxylazed, which means it's been heated. So just like if we had some weed like bud here, if you ate it, it doesn't do anything. You have to smoke it. So when you have cannabis bud, this has got THCA in it, and then when you heat it, it becomes THC, which is psychoactive. So CBDA is not relaxing like CBD is. It's actually a bit stimulating, but it works like a natural, healthy version of ibuprofen. So it works like an NSAID, like a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. And having something like this for someone who's got constant joint pain that you can go, hey, you can take this every morning. It's good for you. It's going to give you energy and it's going to relieve the inflammation. That can be super effective. So Endoca sell that as well in a 50 milligram capsule, and it can be a game changer for arthritis. That with the high dose omega-3 together, that can be extremely helpful. A lot of the time when people think about testosterone, they think about it purely as a performance enhancing or like an anabolic agent. Testosterone has a lot of very interesting mechanisms in the body. So it regulates all of the neurotransmission firing the way that it's supposed to. If someone's in a suboptimal testosterone state, they're going to be more systemically inflamed. Their body's going to be less healthy. And when the body's less healthy, we make less dopamine. Not only does testosterone increase drive,